This is going to sound crazy, but as you get older, you do not have to have aches and pains. What you're experiencing is a combination of changes throughout your body that, if approached correctly, just doesn't have to be that way. Things like degenerative changes, muscle and tendon changes, decreased mobility and flexibility, circulatory issues, nerve changes. And you'll have experiences like I had. I was in college lifting weights in the gym, and I bent over and picked up a preloaded little curl bar from underneath the dumbbell rack, and I felt something snap in my low back, or at least that's what it felt like. And I spun around and I had to hold myself up on the dumbbell rack with my arms. I couldn't stand up. An ambulance was called. They came, they hauled me away. I went through physical therapy for about a month, and I was told that for the rest of my life, the likelihood of re-injuring it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 90%. Generally, these things plague people, optional. And as a result, if I experience any small injury, something hurts on me, I don't just wait for it to get better. I take action against it, because my experience over the last 15 years is that you and I, we're in the driver's seat, even when it comes to orthopedic health, even when it comes to injuries. There's a tremendous amount of things we can do to try and help ameliorate those injuries and even rehabilitate them completely. If something hurts on me, I don't just wait for it to get better. One of the tools in my toolbox is the PRP injection. PRP stands for platelet-rich plasma. Here's how it works. Blood is drawn from the patient just like a regular blood test. It's then spun down in a centrifuge, which separates the PRP, which is the layer that's super rich in platelets. And platelets are the body's first responders when it comes to healing injuries. They're like the medics in the battlefield of your body, rushing to the site of an injury and starting the repair process. They also release growth factors and are key in healing. That PRP is then re-injected right back into the area of the body that needs most of the healing. For me, it was my right hip. The idea is that by concentrating these platelets and their growth factors, they're turbocharging the body's ability to heal itself. It's a cool concept because it's using the body's own materials to encourage healing. It's the opposite of the common cortisone injection, which aggressively removes inflammation, but it doesn't really heal the joint. So as a patient, this kind of strikes me as ridiculous. You get out of pain, but then you can potentially make the problem worse by degrading the connective tissue and all the muscle surrounding the joint. I digress. That's what people commonly do. PRP is not that common. It's not new though. PRP increases the inflammation and therefore helps heal the joint. And in my opinion, that's what you want. You don't necessarily want to get out of pain. You want to fix the problem and move forward and never face the problem again, potentially. So because I'm in my mid-50s and there's always some little ache and pain cropping up, I try to do this every time before I go travel. So if I'm going on a vacation and I know I'm not going to be lifting weights or working out, or maybe just walking, you can certainly be active after you do PRP injections. But I do it because there's a recovery time after, and I'd rather just be on vacation and enjoy taking it easy while my in that case, my hip is actually getting better. So at my age, I no longer think of a joint problem as if it's just going to get better. I like to actively pursue improving my joint health over time. That means as I'm in my mid-50s today, by the time I'm in my mid-60s, I expect my joints to be healthier, not to degrade like most people would expect. One sidebar on this, it's important to note that because you're using your own PRP, the healthier you are, the greater the likely positive outcome, because it's your own platelet-rich plasma. That's also the case with nearly every other therapy, by the way. So get the rest of your health together so you can become healthier orthopedically. But there are two other forms of similar therapies used for the same purpose, which is regenerating tissues in areas that really don't get a lot of blood flow, like inside of the joint capsule, tendonitis, issues with your ligaments. All three fall under the umbrella of what's called regenerative injection therapy. It's called that because it helps regenerate the tissue. And by the way, I've happened to have tried all three several times. So if you're ready to take the next step in your health journey, go ahead and subscribe to our channel below and join thousands of others who have already begun to tackle their health challenges, including, of course, orthopedic health just like you. Together, we can help build the knowledge and confidence to make smart and healthy decisions to achieve the goals that you've been struggling to achieve. The least invasive variation of PRP is called prolotherapy. It's basically sugar water. And within that sugar water, you can add some lidocaine. So it helps with the pain. It's easy. It's the least expensive. It hurts the least, but it's also, in my opinion, the least effective. And this relies on the acute inflammation caused by both the needle itself. So when you push the needle into your muscle tissue or into a joint capsule, the needle itself causes some acute inflammation. So it causes a minor form of injury, and the sugar causes additional inflammation, so it causes blood to rush to the area. I've had success with this, but it takes many more injections than the other therapies do. On the opposite end of the spectrum is stem cell injections. And this is the most invasive, it's the most effective, and by far it's the most expensive. In these pics, as you can see, I was injected into every major joint in my body just to sort of see what the outcome was like. And you don't have to do that, but you do have to harvest your own stem cells, which is, like I said, kind of invasive. So while I was in the neighborhood extracting my own stem cells, I decided to just go for it. And by that, I mean have all of those joints injected at the same time. But because most of my orthopedic issues, I would say, are minor compared to maybe your low back issue or your problem with your neck that you've faced for decades, or problems with your elbows or knees, mine really were generally minor. So I didn't experience any significant benefit from stem cell injections. And as a result, from a cost standpoint, an accessibility standpoint, and an effectiveness standpoint, my favorite is still PRP. This is not an exaggeration. If I'm going on vacation where I'm intending to relax and do anything physically aggressive, I schedule a PRP appointment to target the worst part of my body with the intention of slowly ticking those problems off the list one by one. So now that you're on the right track and you have this new understanding of a potential tool in the toolbox for your joint health, I wanted to let you know that I have some additional, really what I would describe as exciting and very practical content. I try to be as practical as possible. I'm from the Midwest, and wanted to let you know that it's available at watchtodd.com, watchtodd.com. So what this is a video that describes a philosophy that I have in terms of how you should be looking at your health. And there's also a PDF that accompanies this video that gives you every single data point that I measure in my body and help you quantify a diagram that we call the Wheel of Health. And the Wheel of Health is intended to become an introspective tool to help you look at your health in, I think, the right way, and constantly chip away at getting better and better at all parts of your health using the least possible invasive therapies like lifestyle, exercise, nutrition, and stress management, with some of these additional tools like PRP possibly if you need them, though they are definitely much more aggressive. Go ahead and click that link and opt in for both the free video and the accompanying PDF.